Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Benjamin, and welcome back to our updates of the presidential election model. Again, I'm not going to cover the Senate model just because I don't have enough high quality polls of that, and it hasn't really changed other than the approval rating. There'll still be a link to it in the description along with this model, and we're going to talk about this in just a second because this is a gubernatorial, and I've only got 3 races that I want to talk about because that's tomorrow. Anyway, on to the presidential map. Not much has changed. I will say Donald Trump's approval rating is starting to rebound, and you can go to 538's list of polls that they update every day, and they're starting to rebound after his no good, very bad month. But it's still not up to where it was previously. I'm not sure it ever will, but it's certainly looking better for him than it did, I'd argue, a couple of weeks ago. Anyway, the reason why I didn't have a video up last week is I just really wanted a break. I really needed one. Anyway, I used a week off to do a lot of research and a few other things. So that should be fun. There's also Halloween week, which was pretty cool. In the comments, just say what your Halloween costume was because I like to have fun on this channel. Mine was I was Theodore Roosevelt because I have the ability to have facial hair. So I just I shaved off everything that wasn't a mustache for that, which okay, a lot of people are probably oops, there we go. Which okay, fine. Unfortunately it's gonna be a little bit difficult to grow that back. No, I'm just slightly kidding. Oh, really? Someone from Texas is probably a robocall. If it's important, they'll leave a message. Cool. Anyway, so there's not much really to talk about on this map. Simply put, the Midwest is definitely, at least according to polling, and of course I have adjusted for fundamentals because I think this far out you need to. And some of the polling that I've seen from these states indicates that I'm mostly correct on doing so. That said, I think maybe, they're showing that these are mostly toss-up states within a standard deviation, which is what I expect. And they're showing Arizona being competitive, Florida being competitive, So I think it's perfectly reasonable to actually look at that, and that's including recent polling. So I don't think it's that much of a stretch to assume that. Now, if you want to look at the state and national, just the average, let's look at this. Alaska, ooh, that's very close. Arizona, that's widening. Arkansas, that's getting close. Let's choose Florida, that's Democrats. Georgia's just barely for the Republican. And remember, this doesn't even factor in the national, his approval ratings, right? Indiana, exceedingly close. Iowa, Democrats are winning that. Kansas, etc. This doesn't even take into account partisanship. So this is just the straight polling. So this is going to change at some point, I expect. But it just shows you the difference between polling average and where a race should be, right? And the expected partisanship. And I'm going to check the results of the election based off of the way I measured partisanship, and see, okay, this is the expected partisanship of each state, and I'll adjust based off of how much the national margin was, So And I'll check and see if I did my partisanship correctly, and I'll adjust my methodology to make it more accurate. Unless I'm close to it, and when I say close, I mean close, not like it's within 5%. That's good enough. No, I mean we're talking within a 0.5%, maybe a 4%. I'll give myself, but yeah. So, anyways, we all know Election Day 2019 is upon us, and we have three governor's races that we'll be looking at: Kentucky, Mississippi, and Louisiana. And I expect John Bel Edwards to get a second term in Louisiana. Mississippi, I forget the name of the Republicans, but chances are this is going to go to a runoff, and I expect the Republican to win the runoff. I expect Bevin to hold on just narrowly. Polling has indicated that this is a pretty close race, but I'm erring on the side of the incumbent and the side of state partisanship in this one. Similar situation in Mississippi, but, it is what it is, right? So, the other race that's of interest, at least in my case, is the Virginia state election. So, I think there's one or two constitutional amendments up for grabs, or not up for grabs, but up for amendments to the state constitution, I mean. And there's, of course, the state senate and the House of Delegates. And fun fact, I actually met with one of the. I had a chance run-in with one of the candidates in my district, which is pretty cool. Very good person, personable, affable, has some decent ideas. He seemed very friendly in person. His campaign ads, his campaign ads, other than one, are kind of just generic Republican standpoints in today's Republican Party. So it was a bit Trumpy, but what are you gonna do these days? But in person, he seemed much different than his ads, so that was nice. So yeah. And fun fact, despite being in the very Republican part of the state, he's not the incumbent. He's challenging the incumbent, who is a Democrat. But there's a reason for that, and I'm not exactly... If I give the reason for that, it's going to pretty much give away where I live. And I'm not a fan of doing that. I'm okay with saying I live in, the southwest part of the state. I'm okay with that. I just don't want to give out exactly where I live. Not that I expect there to be viewers in this area, but, it is a thing that happens, so... Anyway, I don't have much exactly to talk about, so I want to thank all for watching. Hope you enjoy. I'll see y'all next time, and take it easy. Have a nice evening, and have fun.